Hey, intro to corrections. I did say I would do a short video, just briefly talking about the what if scenario and where you can find it. So, obviously, when you come into Blackboard, you'll notice that course specific content is available. So, because we have more than one what if scenario, I have the assignment sheet listed here, which will actually show you the file. You can download it if you want. We'll get to that here in a second, but it can also be found under week 4. You'll have your notes, the video will be here, and then you have the what if scenario assignment sheet and the Dropbox. Please note when you click on the Dropbox, what it will do is give you here's when it's due, it's worth 25 points, and as stated in the instructions document, please make sure that you type up your answer and ensure that you answer all the questions that are asked. It is due by Sunday. If you have any questions, please email me. And what you do is if you click on preview file, or you can choose to download it, it's a PDF. And what it is it tells you exactly what you are supposed to do. It goes over the scenario. What would you do? Creating UOF policies for pregnant inmates. And what it does is it gives you a scenario, it tells you what's going on. It does come from an online corrections training thing that's actually stationed in Texas. It's Lexipol, and here's the web link if you want to go to the actual website. But then I included questions on the second page that I would like you to answer that are part of this. So you have to answer these questions and possibly these questions, but you also need to answer these questions. And so now to look at the whole scenario. So, what if scenario assignment sheet? Having learned about some of the theory behind corrections, you gaining a better understanding of what corrections looks like and what exactly corrections is. We've talked a lot about the physical situations and the hypothetical things. So now's a chance to apply that knowledge in a safe and hopefully practical way. So you're going to be given a hypothetical situation, which again is a separate document. You have it, it's available to you. And so you are supposed to read through it. It's an event that could happen within a correctional facility or while working in the field of corrections. You're required to explain what you would do slash how you would respond, because not all of them are going to be a simple what would you do. It might be how would you respond in that situation. The reasoning for why you responded that way, and so in that way you're going to be leading your reader, who is me, to where your reasoning comes from. Like if you use an example from the texts or from a lecture, or maybe you looked up something online and it told you this, you give me where you get this idea from. And then answer any of the questions that are asked in the scenario. So both questions from the scenario, but also questions that I have included at the end of the scenario. To receive full credit for these, you will need to write in complete sentences, be generally free from grammatical errors. Some here and there is not the end of the world, but it should be readable and clear, and be complete answers to all questions asked. When written out completely, the responses should be at minimum almost a full page. I'm looking for 3/4 of a full page. You'll see a point breakdown below, and I'll get to that in a second. As you read through the scenarios, feel free to explore it from your unique experiences and background. Some of you have worked in the field already. Some of you have never worked in the field. Some of you have very different upbringings. Use that to your advantage, because guess what? The field itself, you are a human being. You would have your own experiences you need to deal with as well. So these scenarios do not have one correct answer. That's important. They're training scenarios used by an online correctional training resource, and they're meant to stimulate ideas for people that are going into the field, who are training and they're trainees at the facilities, and experienced officers. It's a way for multiple people to engage with a what if scenario and share ideas. So for this class, I'm giving you scenarios that do not have one answer, and I'm encouraging you to think about how you would respond. Do not be afraid to be wrong. As long as you provide legitimate reasoning for your response, you cannot be wholly wrong. Even if you come up with an idea that's makes no logical sense at all, but you can prove that it would potentially work, guess what? You can't lose all the points for it because you at least provided proof. So make sure you're supporting it with either things from one of our texts or maybe examples or something that even if you can find outside information, all is fair game. Notice in red, fun fact, this is about 3/4 of a page. When you are writing out this, if you get to about this point in your text writing, when you look at the whole page, if you're about here, that's about 3/4 of the page. That would be bare minimum what you need. Part of the reason why I did that was to make sure you could see. So, grand total, it's worth 25 points. You get 5 points for being at least the 3/4 of a page. Right off the bat. 5 points for making the length. 10 points come from the answers to the questions. So if you answer all the questions, you get 10 points as long as they're fully answered. And you get 10 points if the reasoning is there. So there's logic to why those answers are decided. And potentially, I put in quotes citation. I'm not asking you to give me official correct citations. All I'm asking you to do is, as you're going through this, answer your questions completely and make sure that you are giving me legitimate reasoning as to why you did it. Hence this leading your reader to where your reasoning comes from, telling me that's your quote citation. And so, briefly looking at the first one, so this is a what would you do? So we are talking in particular, a pregnant inmate poses a threat to herself and others. How should the warden create a policy that allows officers to use force but also protect the unborn child? And that's what the situation is. So UOF, use of force policy for pregnant inmates. This week we talked about women's prisons and we talked about female inmates in those unique situations. I mentioned pregnancy multiple times between the two. This is a perfect intro what if scenario for you to apply first. So, what would you do? What would you do in creating a use of force policy regarding a pregnant inmate? And all this beneath the line, this is from the original text. This is the full scenario. And it goes all the way up to how would you safely protect all lives involved, including the unborn baby? And then notice again, I put questions at the very end. You need to answer all of the questions. If you have any further questions still at this point, reach out to me. Send me an email, ask your questions, and I will be glad to answer them. Outside of that, thank you very much. And yeah. Please enjoy the lecture video, and I hope that these what-if scenarios aren't absolutely terrible for you to do.